One of the most commonly asked questions in Formula One is who is the best driver of all time? And it's a very hard question to answer because you've got to think about all the different decades, different cars, the different, different eras, and all kinds of other stuff as well, like mechanics, the rules, regulations, and stuff. Like everyone keeps saying, okay, Ayrton Senna's the best driver of all time, but then you have someone else going, but would he win in Hamilton's car? Would Hamilton win in Senna's car? Would Senna win in Jim Clark's car? And all this kind of questions. And another kind of similar one of one of these questions has cropped up again, just a couple of days after Max Verstappen's unbelievable win at the Austrian Grand Prix. His team boss, Christian Horner, turned around to the media and said that Max Verstappen today is better than five-time world champion, almost six-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton, which is a big, big claim to say the least. Now, I know we are a bit late to this party because it was said before, just after Austria, and we are now past Silverstone, which we went to. Go and check out the vlog if you haven't already. Just a quick advertisement there. But with us going to Silverstone, we were quite tight on everything really, and we missed quite a lot of big headlines. So we thought we'll cover this one because it is a really good one to talk about. And Lyle being a RedBull fan, I want to know his opinions, especially on this one. So Max Verstappen had a brilliant Grand Prix at Austria. Well, of course he did. He won the Grand Prix from 7th place, didn't he? After a very bad start, drove superbly throughout the course of the Grand Prix. Brilliant driving, brilliant overtaking, getting his elbows out right at the very end of the last couple of laps. Got past the Ferrari driver of Charles Leclerc, and that was it. Game set match. Max Verstappen wins another race at Austria, his second in a row. So Christian Horner comes out and says to the media that Max Verstappen is better than Lewis Hamilton. Now, I can imagine this has ruffled a few feathers in the F1 community because you have a lot of passionate fans for Max Verstappen, like we've seen at Silverstone, like you see in Austria, like you're going to see it at the Dutch Grand Prix next season. That's going to be immense. But not only that, you also have a lot of passionate fans about Lewis Hamilton. And again, we've seen that at Silverstone. I know we keep saying about Silverstone, but trust me, guys, it was so good. We've seen loads of true Hamilton fans, singing their guts out, singing their glory, singing all their songs and everything, getting on the flag, showing their support. Lewis Hamilton does have a very big base, fan base that is, and of course, Lewis Hamilton fans aren't going to be too happy about these claims. So my opinion is on this one is well, pretty much the question of this episode: is Max Verstappen really better than Lewis Hamilton at this present time? Now, it is a really tough one to call because I'll start off with this: the only way you're gonna get a really definitive answer and a really proper answer is if you have both drivers in the same team, whether that's Verstappen and Mercedes or Lewis Hamilton and Red Bull. Whoever does better in the same kind of car is arguably the better driver. Take away reliability and everything because there's Max Verstappen could, let's say, win 5 races in a row and Hamilton could retire from 5 races in a row. That doesn't always mean Verstappen's the better driver. It just means he's got the more reliable car. So, and again, that's something you've got to take into context as well. People compare race wins, race finishes. Oh, Verstappen's got more DNFs than Lewis Hamilton in the past 2 years, let's say. All right, fine, but Lewis Hamilton's in a Mercedes. That's very reliable. The Red Bull hasn't been reliable, the past couple of years. So there's all kind of things, isn't there? But me personally, I believe that they are on quite the same level at this present time because Hamilton has always been in that winning car, hasn't he? Since he first came into the sport, he's had a couple of years where the car hasn't been as good, but he's always managed to get a race win. He's the only driver in Formula 1 history at this moment, of course, to win a race in every single season of his F1 career. Verstappen had a different kind of entrance. He was big, tit for big things in the future. He came in a Toro Rosso, who of course isn't a race winning car. It's only ever won one Grand Prix, and even that was a shock in the hands of Sebastian Vettel in 2008. And then he moved to Red Bull, won his very first Grand Prix, and that was a big shock, kind of. I think Verstappen did get lucky, but at the same time, he did show a lot of skill in that Grand Prix, keeping 2 Ferraris behind him. And then since then, he's been a bit up and down in terms of his form, his consistency has been there, is it thereabouts? And then people started to question his ability, and is he just another overhyped driver where he comes into the sport? Okay, this guy's going to be the next Schumacher, and then turns out being the next Narain Carter-Kane. So and Verstappen had that kind of reputation for a while until this season when his results are ace. Absolutely, they are delivering. They are so on point. Absolutely fantastic. A little incident, of course, in Silverstone, not really Verstappen's fault, that was Vettel's fault, of course, but nevertheless, his results this season have been absolutely consistent and reliable, of course. So for me, yes, they are on level playing fields because Verstappen he is really quick. And but at the same time, he's never really had a car that is able to win races, week in, week out. He's never had a pole position, which a lot of people criticise him for. But again, he's never really had the car to be able to put that car on pole position. So again, you could argue with that one. All right, Verstappen's been close a couple of times, but all right, he hasn't exactly done the deed because the Mercedes and the Ferraris, more or less, are faster on a one race lap, on a one pace lap. But then in the races, Verstappen kind of excels. He's really good at overtaking. He's good at defending. He's got all these abilities, but again, he just hasn't got the car. And if you look back at Red Bull's results, sometimes he has had luck to play it on his side. Mercedes crashing into each other, Mercedes unreliability, but also not only on that, it's also been down on pure skill, where Verstappen has actually overtaken the Mercedes. And I remember, I believe it was it Malaysia 2016 where Verstappen overtook the Mercedes on pure pace, on pure ability. I think it was 2016. I believe so. I think both Red Bulls did that on that day as well. So again, Mercedes didn't have a downer day. Well, after that, anyway, they had a bit of a blowout, if you want to call it that. But of course, Verstappen drove it superbly on that particular Grand Prix. So Verstappen does have the skill, but for me, Hamilton has the experience, and that's the difference between those two drivers. Because Hamilton, he's been in the sport since 2007. He's won 5 World Championships, 80 Grand Prix wins. He holds multiple records in Formula One. And he's going to break loads more records. Beyond into the future. Of course he is. And to compare them, it is, like I said, it is very, very difficult. And for me, I would definitely put them on par. I do want to see those two in the same team. Will it happen? I can't really say. There is links to Verstappen going to Mercedes. I don't know how true that they're going to be. There is other drivers in the mix, but nevertheless, let's see how that pans out in the future. So yes, like I said, for me, Verstappen is there. Lewis Hamilton is definitely there. Put Verstappen in that Mercedes. He will do extraordinary things, and trust me on that one, guys. I do honestly believe that. And of course, let me know your opinions in the comment section below. There will be true Hamilton fans out there. There will be true Max fans out there. We do get a lot of Max fans commenting as well. So Max Verstappen fans, I know you're going to disagree, but I want to know why you. Not disagree, agree with Christian Horner. I want to know why you agree. Any fans that disagree with us, let me know. As like I said, let us know in the comment section below. Lyle, bringing you into this one for the first time, I really want to know your thoughts on this, because I know you're a Red Bull fan, but you're a Max Verstappen fan. Like you see in the vlog, you were wearing his t-shirt, you were supporting him, and also Pierre Gasly. But we're not talking about Pierre Gasly. We're of course talking about Max Verstappen. Where do you stand with that statement? Are you agreeing with Christian Horner and saying that Verstappen is better than Lewis Hamilton? Or are you saying, oh, Christian, I think you're taking this one a bit too far?
Well, I mean, of course, Christian Horner, the team principal of Red Bull, the team principal of the team that Max Verstappen is, and the team principal that wanted Max and wanted this young gunner in the team, has said this. But straight out the bat, it's 6 wins against 80. So then that's absolutely insane. Obviously, Max Verstappen just won the Austrian Grand Prix, as you said, John. Really, really special race for him. Probably the best race, in my opinion. Of course, Spain 2016 was great. His first win, he became the youngest winner in Formula 1 history, and that will never ever be beaten. But yes, this one he definitely deserved after he botched up the start and things like that. So 6 wins is good for where he is. Lewis Hamilton's on 80, and straight off the bat you think, and of course Lewis Hamilton's better because that's just the numbers. It's a bit like when people say that Ayrton Senna's the best and things like that over Michael Schumacher, but then you think from the outside looking in, you're like 7 against 3. Of course Michael Schumacher's the best, and then you have to go in depth.
Yeah.
So when you start going in depth, of course Lewis Hamilton's got the experience, been in Formula 1 for 12 years. That was his 13th British Grand Prix they just did. Obviously great win, and obviously made it number 80, 11 wins from Michael's record. But the big thing for comparing them is you have to go to the ages. Max Verstappen obviously came into Formula 1 when he was 18 years old and won a race when he was 18 and a half. As I just said there, that'll never ever be beaten because of the super license age. I think you have to be 19 to at least get one. So now you're going to see young drivers in Formula 1, but only around, I think it's 19 or 20. 19 is probably the youngest age that you can be in. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. Lewis Hamilton came into Formula 1, I believe, when he was 21, going on 22 with McLaren. And I've seen this a lot posted on Facebook and things like that, comparisons between all of the young drivers, and that even includes people like Charles Leclerc, who, yes, he was 19. Yes, he came into Formula 1 when he was 19, but that was still older than Max was. Obviously, Esteban Ocon came into Formula 1 when he was 19. Again, that was still older than Max was, and things like that. And on the comparison, it's Well, Max is 19 and he had 4 wins already. Max is 20 and he had 5 wins already. Max is 21 and he had 6 wins already. And Lewis Hamilton had none of them. But as I've just said, Lewis Hamilton came into Formula 1 when he was 22 years old. And obviously look at what he has done. So in terms of the age, then Max is of course much better, but it's not a comparison, and also depends on when they came into Formula 1. The second thing is about, as I say again, with Lewis Hamilton, he started out in a McLaren straight away getting results. I think his first win was 7 races in Canada. Okay, so that's fantastic. Max's came about 2.5 years later, obviously when he signed with Red Bull, but that was his very, very first win. So it is kind of evenly matched, there is arguments, there is debate, and that obviously what makes that conversation quite enjoyable. But yes, it is definitely the age and the experience. Lewis Hamilton has so much more experience that it's almost insane to say that Max is on the same level at the moment as Hamilton. But the one word that Max has always got around him, and the thing that Max, basically the thing that Max can ride for ages, is the one word, potential. And that is what everyone has when it comes to Max. That's what Red Bull have. That's what all the people had when they brought him in. It's kind of like a football team or a sports team that had loads of success in the past and still believes it's like next year is our year. Kind of I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the buzz about Liverpool before they got before they won the Champions League final. It was like next year will be our year. The thing that it isn't here now, but it will be soon, and that was what the buzz about Max Verstappen was. That he isn't there yet, but he's going to be. He's going to be world champion. He's going to be world champion soon. He's going to win loads of races soon, and he will be better than Lewis Hamilton very soon. But when is that going to be? It's certainly not now. So that statement is very, very early to say. If he was going out on kind of a hypothetical talk and saying if Max was the same age as Lewis, or if Lewis was the same age as Max, could they be compared? Again, even still, no, because they came into Formula 1 at different times. They came into Formula 1 in different cars. They had different Formula 1 backgrounds. For example, like Lewis Hamilton, he went through obviously the younger categories of formulas, McLaren Junior program. Max Verstappen came straight into Formula 1 from I think it was Formula Renault, something like that, through the Red Bull Junior program. So very different bringings into Formula 1. Obviously very different ages. Max obviously was about 3-4 years younger than Lewis before he came in. And yes, everything about them is completely different. It's really it's like hot and cold. It's fire and ice. Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen are two very different drivers. A little bit like, I don't know, Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber. But of course, Seb was outscoring Webber. But even that you could bring in the conversation. Was Mark Webber better than Sebastian on the best day? Or even if Mark was driving the same car as Seb, would he be the best? Well, technically they were. But yes, anyway, so they're very, very different kind of drivers. And I don't think you can kind of compare them you can't compare them at all, period. That's it. Obviously, the second thing that Christian Horner said was put them both in the same car. Now, I don't know if that means Mercedes or I don't know if that means Red Bull. Putting them in the same car, of course, would be a test because they all say that on obviously like the Formula 1 Netflix series and things like that. Put Pascal Wehrlein in a Mercedes car next to Lewis Hamilton, and of course he will succeed. That's what they all say. Well, one, that isn't happening yet. Obviously, Jordan's just said there about Max might be going to Mercedes, and again, that's when we might see that happen. If that was the case, then there might be a lot of buzz about him going to Mercedes, obviously replacing Valtteri Bottas. I would like to see that, and of course, when he gets there, that's when the big argument will be done. But at the moment, it's not. They're in Lewis is in Mercedes, Max is in Red Bull. They're two different ages with loads of different experience, and I don't think you can compare them at the moment. So, in terms of what the statement was from Christian Horner, Jordan, I'm not agreeing with it. But they're both very, very, very skilled. And Max has the potential to get to Lewis's stage. And they both are quite similar in terms of, let's say, their junior years. Again, when Lewis Hamilton was very, very young, obviously in his second season in Formula 1, I want to say 23. He won his first World Championship in 2008 with McLaren. Obviously, Max hasn't got there yet, but he's going strong. They are very similar, very, very similar. And at the moment, they are very, very quick in the car. Again, like you just said, in terms of how quick they are on track, you could probably put them level pegging. But in terms of experience, Lewis Hamilton, of course, is better because of, as I say, he's got 12 going on 13 years of experience, and he is the 5-time world champion. He's 5-time world champion going for 6 world championships. And that's not 6 Grand Prix wins, that's 6 world championships. And that's, of course, where Lewis Hamilton, at the moment, is, of course, much, much better. But with Christian and with Red Bull, they do have that they do have the belief of the potential of Max Verstappen, and it's like, ask us in a few years' time, or ask us in like 12 years' time, when Max is Lewis's age or has Lewis's amount of experience, is Max going to be on the same level as Lewis Hamilton? Is he going to have 80 wins? Is he going to have, oh God, about what, 80, 88, 89 pole positions or something ridiculous like that? Is he going to have 5 world championships, going for 6? Is he going to be like the holy grail of the ambassador for the UK and a holy grail of Formula One? Well, as I say, come back in a few years, Christian, and ask us that. But of course, as I say, the potential is definitely there. In terms of the fans as well, obviously Lewis does bring a lot of hype, as you said, John, from Silverstone. Max Mania is insane. Everything is all orange. We were sitting next to some Dutch fans in Village. There's a lot of Dutch fans around, obviously around the world as well. Austria was packed, and obviously Zandvoort is going to be absolutely insane just by the orange army. And again, talking to those Dutch people, they said that this place is coming back just for one driver, and it's not like you can think it's just for Formula One, you can think it's just for the general fans and the sports fans, but really, this kid is bringing Formula One, the most expensive circus in the world, to his home country, his very, very small home country, just for him. It's absolutely insane. And obviously, of course, all the fans out there believe that he is going to be the best, better than Lewis Hamilton. And of course he could do. Yeah. It's potential. We don't know that yet. Obviously, he's still, he's got loads more years to prove himself. But as I say, the potential is there. At the moment, they are very skilled on track. They are very level on track. Obviously, Lewis, of course, is, in terms of statistics, is beating him. He's won, I think it's 6 rounds out of 9. Obviously, Max has won 2, and then that's 2 left for Valtteri Bottas. So again, stats don't lie. And obviously Lewis Hamilton has more experience, but they are definitely very, very skilled. And again, Christian, just save that question for a few years down the road. Obviously, Max is very skilled, very good at what he does. He's battling Lewis Hamilton, but obviously Lewis is better on stats, on paper, and obviously he has more experience. Yeah. So Jordan, when Max Verstappen gets to Lewis's age, 12, 13 years time, obviously, as I've just said there, Max came into Formula 1 a few years before Lewis. In terms of the stats where he is now, of course, Lewis will be on zero wins because he wasn't even in Formula 1 at this point.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was probably still, getting, he was probably eyeing up his Formula 1 seat, and probably Michael Schumacher was still in Formula 1. So obviously, in that sense, of course, Max Verstappen is better. But that's not a very kind of fair way to look at it, because obviously Lewis, as I say, wasn't even in Formula 1. But when Max gets to Lewis's age, do you think Max will be as successful as him? And almost, if you brought back an older Christian Horner, if he asked this question, do you think people would change their mind and go, definitely Max, or do you think they would say definitely Lewis? And is that the only way that we can actually answer this question, when Max gets to Lewis's age and he has that experience of, 200 odd Grand Prix starts and hopefully going on 80 wins?
It's probably the closest we'll get, other than like what we said in the episode, if they're going to be in the same car. If when Max Verstappen gets to Lewis Hamilton's age, he might be still in Formula 1, he might not be in Formula 1, he might never make it there. Who knows? He might just say, right, he might go one day, you know what, Formula 1, don't like it anymore, I'm going to go off and do Le Mans or something like that. Who knows? So again, we can just obviously just speculate and just debate about what's potentially going to happen, because again, we don't have any like time machine, or we don't have any crystal ball in front of us to go, okay, Verstappen is going to have 100 Grand Prix wins by the time he's at Lewis Hamilton's age and all this malarkey. So and he came in at such a young age, a lot younger than Lewis Hamilton, and it is very unfair to kind of compare the two drivers, because Hamilton has had such a dominant car since 2014, and Verstappen hasn't really had a dominant car at all. And I'm pretty sure that when Lewis came into the sport, I think he was tipped for big things. Don't get me wrong, I believe that. I don't believe he was tipped to go. People were going, this guy, he's going to beat Schumacher's record. He's going to be up there with Schumacher. Everyone was like, no. Schumacher's record will not be beaten. Nobody will ever come close to it. And yet here he is now on 11 wins away from matching Michael Schumacher's record. I mean, if I told you all the way back in 2007, this guy's going to have 80 wins by the halfway through the 2019 season, and he's going to be on par with Schumacher, this kid who's just retiring, get in the bin, shut up, nothing about Formula 1. I think that's what helps
with Lewis. So, obviously, as you just said there, Lewis Hamilton, if you told everyone in 2007 that he would get that, they would not believe it. And then the fact that he's now en route to doing that is, very, very special, because we kind of doubted him. But with Max Verstappen, it's kind of the other way around. People do kind of think that he will get that. Obviously, I haven't heard anyone say he's going to be 7-9 world champion, but it's kind of there. You know, if you tell if you tell a Max Verstappen fan from Holland that Max isn't great, then of course they'll start. You know, they'll burn your house down. So you know, people expect that. You know, expect Max to do big things in Formula One, but it's kind of like, is that too much pressure for him? And if he gets to that, you know, Lewis Hamilton's age and he hasn't done that, will that look badly on him? You know, everyone reveres Lewis Hamilton as a god and somebody who, as I said, you know, there's real no pressure. I've never ever heard in Lewis Hamilton's career, he's got to do this, he's got to do that. He is the prodigal son. It's kind of almost like whatever he wants to achieve on track, he will do. And even some people even want to stop him. Again, a little bit like Sebastian Vettel. You know, when he was at Red Bull, obviously people didn't even want him to do well. They wanted him to stop almost. But with Max, it's the other way around. You know, people want him to do that. But just quickly with Max, this is what I'm seeing. I'm kind of, in my mind, I'm kind of picturing like a bar, like a charge bar, like 100% to 0% kind of thing. As soon as Max came into Formula One, you know, the interest was at 100%. It was almost bursting out, and then it's going down and down and down and down and down and down and down, and then. Well, firstly, obviously, it went down a little bit at Toro Rosso, then it jumped back to 100% at Red Bull. Then it was there for a little bit. Obviously, Monaco crashed 2016, brought it down a little bit, then down and down and down. And every time it wins, it jumps up a little bit. It's going up and up and up. But then now, especially before Austria, obviously he'd gone a long time. Well, I think it was Austria 2018 was his last win in Formula One. So then it was, as I say, he's waited a year, hasn't he, for a win?
It was Mexico. It was Mexico 2018.
That's sorry.
Yes, because so I remember Horner saying that Verstappen was the last driver to beat the Mercedes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
He still is.
Anyway, so obviously it's kind of a jump, and you never really know when it's going to happen. But every time this bar gets lower and lower and lower and lower and lower, this kind of expectation of Max, and people obviously in Red Bull questioning, is he the prodigal son? People from Holland obviously sworn Max fans, but even they're probably thinking like, oh, he's not doing as well as we thought. I mean, we're expecting him to have a championship already, and everyone else watching outside are probably thinking, right, well, he's not as good as everyone thinks. Obviously, Austria showed that he is. But I'll say with Max, it's just a constant like battle. I think with, you know, he needs to be on top straight away, or otherwise people are going to switch off from there. Max has won at 18 years old. This is incredible. The kind of the Jordan reaction of 2016. I remember when you were shouting into the camera and going absolutely incredible. I was like, oh my god, that's just stop it, man. It's not incredible. But even though it was, you know, we had an 18-year-old that had won in Formula One. It was really insane. Apart from obviously what he'd done, which, but yeah, it was absolutely incredible. But everyone's going to be watching and thinking, well, that's dying down very, very soon. And it's going to get to a point where, like, that's all going to go. And to be honest, I do think that that's getting very close. We're getting close to the Verstappen who, he might have one or two more wins this year, but that's it. But for Max, for Pierre, that's amazing. That would be unbelievable. For Lewis at that stage, that would be like insane. For Sebastian Vettel at that age, that would be very good. Well, for Lewis Hamilton going back, I mean, that would be. I remember when he won in Canada. See, I can't remember. You know, as me, I was only about 9 or 10, but I was 10. Yeah, when he won in Canada, that was absolutely insane. No one really expected him to do that. The McLarens, of course, people expected him to do good things. Fernando Alonso was going for the team. It wasn't great for him as well. He obviously, I think he was out qualifying Lewis. It was a tight battle until that race, but nobody expected Lewis to win in Canada that year, when everyone expected Max Verstappen to, I don't want to say win in Spain, but basically hit the ground running straight away. And 2 wins for Lewis in his first or second season in Formula 1 would have been hysterical. Really, really amazing. I think when he won the World Championship in 2008, people were like almost praying because they thought this is some kind of miracle that I didn't expect. But with Max, they have. And 2 wins wouldn't be good enough for him. And it's getting close to the Max where we start thinking, oh, this is dying down a little bit now, the Max mania. And the second thing is, it's kind of like, because he's such a highly rated driver, because we have such a buzz about him, he's going to start questioning himself. He'll get these podiums, and for any other driver, as I said, it'll be amazing. But for him, it wouldn't be that good. He needs to be winning. He needs to perform. And I don't know who said this. I've forgotten who said this, but somebody said the other. I've got a feeling it might have been Aldas actually. That with Red Bull, you've got to perform yesterday, and with Max Verstappen, you've got to perform 2 weeks ago. Pierre Gasly maybe yesterday, possibly earlier on today, but with Max, it's 2 weeks ago. He has to get these results. He has to dominate Formula 1, otherwise people are going to start losing interest, and he is not going to be hailed as the driver that he had the potential to be. All in all, it's just an incredibly different start to both of their careers. Lewis Hamilton, as you said, Jordan, no one expected him to do anything, not anything, but no one expected him to do much. with Verstappen. Everyone expected him to do the world over, and if he's not doing that, he's going to be under the cosh of a lot. And at the moment, he's not. It's just obviously the Max Mania wasn't there for the past 8 races since Mexico, but now that he's winning Austria, it's all come back out again. It was all in force in Silverstone, but he didn't win in Silverstone, so now it's kind of back on the second step, like well, he's doing okay. Roll on Germany, roll on Hungary until he wins in, let's say, Spa, and we all go insane, and Monza becomes this Max Mania place again. And then he doesn't win in Monza, and we go to Singapore, and it's all, well, Max Mania. This next year will be our year. You know what I mean? Max has got to perform 2 weeks ago, and Lewis didn't have to do that when he was back in McLaren. So it's two different kind of routes into Formula One. But with Max, there is a lot more pressure on that to get him to where he needs to be.
Yes, I remember when Max first came into Formula One. It was such a good. It was nice to see because I know that there was a lot of hype around him. I never really heard of him before. He came into Formula One. I didn't really know who he was. I just heard that he signed for Red Bull. He won a Formula 3 race, I think he did, and then within a couple of days he signed with Toro Rosso. And I'm just like, I'm still trying to pronounce his name, and yet I've already seen him go from from A to B to C, and then he's in Formula One, and I'm just like, hold your horses. Who is he? What the hell's going on? And when he won in Spain, absolutely, I was on the bandwagon because, like, I wasn't there for when Lewis was coming into the sport. I wasn't there for when Seb was coming into the sport. I never seen a hot prospect come into the sport and do very well, or even win a Grand Prix. And it was, at the time, a very boring era for Formula One when Mercedes was winning all the time. I know that is the same now, but this is even worse than what it is now. Well, kind of, anyway, because last couple of seasons we've had Ferrari on par and Red Bull on some occasions. But even before this, Ferrari and Red Bull were just, again, on par with each other. So Mercedes was dominant all the time. For a Red Bull to win and a young kid to win, it was just so. It was like I don't know how to contain it. I don't know how to express myself about it. And again, yes, I was always on the bandwagon. But like I keep saying, if you look at the results at the start of the season, in let's say 17 and 18, Verstappen was always tipped to do well in pre-season. He was always like, right, okay, this is going to be Verstappen's year, his first full season of Formula One. Okay, he's had a bit of a turbulent year. This 2018, this is going to be his year. He would always do really bad from the start of the season in Australia to, let's say, I don't know, Monza, for example, about Spa, Monza, that kind of area. He would have 1-2 good results. Reliability will let him down, but then he would also have a couple of really bad crashes. 2018 more so, he had a very unreliable car that year. But then towards the end of the season, that's when he would pick up the pace. He would start winning races. He would always be like, all right, no one has overtaken more drivers than Max. No one else has, in the past 5 races. No one else has led more laps in a Formula 1 race than Max in the past 5 races. These little stats will then, start creeping up. And then coming at the end of the season, Verstappen would end the season on a high. He would win in Mexico, he would win in Malaysia or wherever. He would always win towards at the end of the year. And then that's when we'll always go, okay, Verstappen's going to have a good year the following year. And then again, he would start all the way back down to square one. Like, I remember back in 2017, he ended the year brilliantly. He ended his year by winning in Mexico. The same race when Lewis Hamilton won his 4th World Championship. And then I remember in Australia in 2018, the big hype again, and then he spun, and then we started seeing more unreliable from Verstappen. But then we also saw a lot more, again, lack of experience. And this is when the question kept cropping up: is Verstappen really a future world champion? And then towards the end of the season, as always, he would always then do good. But a lot of people this season kind of came into this one going, we've seen this before, we know how it goes. All right, Leclerc is going to Ferrari. Let's pour all the attention on him. And Verstappen just went, no, guys, I want the attention. So he's going into this season and just absolutely, obliterated this. I mean, I say obliterated for Red Bull standards. Obliterated. Had a really good start. I've got a hair in my face. It's really annoying. Had a really good start to the year, and he's been so consistent. I've got a funny feeling. I've just thought this now. I've got a funny feeling that he's going to have a good start to the year, and then by Spa Monza time, that's when he'll start doing terrible. Because the past couple of years he's done it in reverse order. So, but anyway, that's just a theory. But anyways,
I mean, Max hasn't. I mean, he's been consistent.
Oh, absolutely.
But no, he hasn't had an amazing start of the year. Because an amazing start of the year is while we're on round 11. Well, that's 10 rounds
Yeah.
going into it. Yeah, it'd be 10 wins already, which obviously hasn't got. But
I
know you
think
mean,
yeah,
consistent,
it's
things like
definitely
that.
it's definitely
But
his best season so far because his driving has been superb. And let's not forget, guys, he's in a Red Bull Honda. That's the third fastest, arguably the third fastest car on the grid. They're nowhere near the Mercedes pace. They're nowhere near the Ferrari pace. Surprisingly, even though they have won a Grand Prix. But if you look at things on like a one lap pace, the Red Bull is quite down. It's like half a second here, it's like 2 tenths here. It's like even in some cases a second down because one race Red Bull could have a really good competitive car, and the next the car won't exactly do well on a particular track with certain tires, different temperatures. Yet the other cars kind of just excel with that. So Verstappen is doing absolutely brilliantly, in my opinion, to be able to keep delivering these results in a car that's not even worthy of being on the podium week in week out. So again, well done from him. And then that's again, the question kind of crops up again. What would Verstappen do if that Red Bull car was only half a second quicker, even a second quicker? Could Verstappen win races? Of course he could. But the thing is, though, another question that we haven't really seen this from Max yet. We've just really seen like, all right, what would Verstappen be like in a World Championship fight? Would he keep his pressure, his head on? Would he keep the results delivering race win after race win after race win? Okay, you need to be at least P4 to win the championship. Can he deal with that kind of pressure? Because we haven't seen him in that scenario. So again, that's probably like we said before, not a one to judge yet until that scenario actually happens, because he is going to be in championship battles. He's been in some battles so far, and so far he's doing really really well. But the only reward is a race win or a couple of extra points. There's no world championship at the end of it. There's no constructors at the end of it.
Yeah.
So that's when the pressure really mounts on a driver, and that's when the team will go, right, if there's ever a weekend we need you to deliver, it's this one, because pole position, get the job done, get as high up as you can, get that championship wrapped up ASAP. Would Verstappen do that? Because Hamilton can do that, and he has done that from a very young age. I mean, 2007, he was so unlucky not to win that championship. He kept up with the pressure. I mean, who was he battling that year? Alonso, two-time world champion. Kimi Räikkönen, at the time, he hadn't won a championship at this stage, but would obviously go on to become 2007 world champion. And then again in 2008, he's battling not only with those two drivers again in Räikkönen and Alonso, not Alonso, Massa. So yes, he was battling with Massa that year as well. I mean, he had his teammate, but his teammate wasn't really that good, Heikki Kovalainen. But yes, again, he had Massa there as well, who let's not forget, he, at the time, but before his crash, was a very, very good driver. And again, he had loads more experience. He's been in the sport since, 2002, 2003? And again, he's dealing with some really good drivers in a really good car in the Ferrari. And he dealt with that pressure so well. And then, he won the World Championship, and everyone was just like, this kid's good. This kid's really good. What can he do? And then, the years in McLaren, the car wasn't that good. 2009 it was an utter shambles. I remember the car, like Hamilton screaming on the radio, "We need to rebuild this car. We need to get rid of it. It's so rubbish." And then in 2010 it improved a bit. Well, actually, at the end of 2009 it improved a bit. 2010 the car was there or thereabouts. A very competitive year. He still won races. 2011 Red Bull dominant year. He still won that race. I remember he won in China. He won by overtaking Vettel without using DRS, which was the first time the first season that DRS was introduced into Formula 1. So again, skill. 2012, pretty impressive. Had a good start of the year, consistency as always. The end of the year, the car was unreliable. Fair enough. 2013, that Mercedes car was not. It was good, but it wasn't never a race-winning car. I mean, that RB was RB9. What a car that was! Brilliant piece of machinery that. Red Bull dominated that season. That was Sebastian Vettel's year. Lewis Hamilton still managed to get a race win out of that Mercedes. I think was it their second win of the year, or was it their third? No, sorry, it wasn't their second win. It was their third or fourth win of the season at the time. So again, brilliant. Very good from Lewis Hamilton. And then 2014, that's when it all kicked off, didn't it? Hamilton dominant era as well. But not only that, he's still battling some really really good drivers. Like he was up against Nico Rosberg, who we all dismissed as being a good driver until he retired. In my opinion, anyway, I'm just like, Rosberg was always there with Hamilton, but Hamilton still shoved him off. Even when Vettel came into the battle, it was always Hamilton Vettel. It was always Vettel that buckled under pressure. Did Hamilton put him under pressure? Who knows? Will we see that from Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, because those two are being tipped for being championship rivals in the future? So let's say if Leclerc's ahead and Verstappen's catching him, would Verstappen spin? Would he do what Vettel does, crash out, make silly mistakes? Or if Verstappen's in the lead, will he then lose the lead to Leclerc? Would Leclerc put too much pressure onto him? Or would Verstappen kind of do the Hamilton thing and just deal with the pressure? It's all these kind of things that you just think that there's so much to think about just yet. And I agree with what Lyle was saying there. I think we shouldn't really judge. It is quite difficult, or we shouldn't really judge on them just yet because Verstappen hasn't had the opportunity to be in that good of a car as what Hamilton's had, and again he hasn't had that. He hasn't had that experience. And I think we've already discussed this about will Verstappen win a world championship with Red Bull or not. I think I said no. I think Lau said no as well. And then again, where will he win a world championship? Can he do it in a Red Bull? Can he do it in a Ferrari? Does he have to move teams? If he does move teams, will he do what Seb did? I mean, look at Seb in Red Bull. Brilliant. Goes to Ferrari. Would the same happen? Here we go. Here's a rhyme. Would the same happen to Verstappen if he moved to Ferrari or even Mercedes? Would he go off par then? Who knows?
Or it might be the opposite way around. It might be a slow start. Like he might start out like Vettel at Ferrari.
Yeah.
Because again, like with Vettel at Ferrari, because of what he did at Red Bull, but even let's say that's a reverse. So let's just start with Vettel at Ferrari. He was tipped for big things. He had this kind of thing where it was like, every kid dreams to be in a red car. I'm really excited. Then obviously kind of the Grazie Ragazzi kind of thing really, hit the ground running. And he was very, very excited to be in this Ferrari colours. I think it was Malaysia was the second race of 2015. He won that race, and I remember he was skippy and happy and all that. I loved listening to that radio message as well. And it was incredible. So he was very, very happy with that. But then after that, it really... To be honest, he kind of has done a little bit of Verstappen, but I would say in this scenario, though, Verstappen has less pressure on him because Sebastian had more, especially towards the end. So 2015, I think it was 3 races he won. 2016 was abysmal, and then this is where the pressure started for Sebastian, just obviously on a tangent to Hamilton and Verstappen. This is where the criticism for Sebastian kind of started. I always remember, obviously, when he hit the torpedo and went spinning into the Daniel Fiat named grandstand in Russia. I think it was turn 5 or something like that. And obviously, he was hitting the steering wheel, and then obviously came out with that, honestly, what are we doing here, kind of the phrase. And that's where the pressure got to him. He didn't win a race the entire season. Ferrari were abysmal. And Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari, the Italian dream that he did, the Italian job that Sebastian had at Ferrari is absolutely, it was almost over in 2016. Then after that, it's just been a constant battle. A few wins here and there. But Sebastian, inconsistent, a bit of a jump towards, is he going to win this race or is he going to lose this race? Martin Brundle famously said when he was at Red Bull, Sebastian Vettel can't race. He can only either win from the front or retire, and that's exactly the same as what's happening at Ferrari. Yeah. It's just Sebastian's just doing more retiring and not winning than he was at Red Bull. Obviously, Sebastian, very not very inconsistent, but it's not consistent like it was at Red Bull. Winning here and there, not fighting for the championship, but getting to that stage where he can, but bottling it, either getting beaten on pace or doing little mistakes, and obviously like what we saw in 2018 and what we've seen in 2019 twice. Obviously the big one being in Bahrain when he span against Lewis Hamilton, and obviously the big one, Jordan, which is what we saw in Silverstone. And you can kind of relate Sebastian Vettel of Ferrari to Max Verstappen. Not the errors bit, because obviously he hasn't done as many errors as Sebastian has, and I don't know how you want to take that because Seb is a 4-time world champion.
Exactly.
But Max, as I say, it is a little bit like Seb. He started out, really, really, he had this amazing name for himself, and he was going to make it big in a big team, make it big in a new city. You've got some money in your pocket, he's going to make it big. And since then, he hasn't been consistent like Lewis Hamilton has. He hasn't been consistent over the board. He's had a few wins here and there. That's been the same as his teammate. That's been the same as the team overall. He's had a few wins here and there. He gets hyped when he can. He has some loyal followers, but the people who are just, sitting on the fence, lose interest. That was what I meant by the energy bar thing. Obviously, the pure Max fans, the Dutch fans out there, they're always at 100%.
Oh, they'll always be out.
Max, he wins here and there, but you don't know what's going to happen to him. Like 2017, when Red Bull had a lot of engine problems. I remember in Canada as well, one of the biggest ones. I remember watching that race and thinking Max was going to destroy this race. He started second, I think it was on the grid ahead of behind Nico Rosberg, went to first straight away, and then he had an engine retirement on about lap 6. Again, the same thing happened in Spa that year, where they had engine problems. So with Max, it's you're not sure. You can't go into a weekend assuming what's going to happen. When on the flip side, with Lewis, you can do. You know how consistent he's going to be. Jordan, for example, like when we do our previews, when we do our predictions, obviously we do mainly Lewis Hamilton to be on the podium. We can almost guarantee Lewis Hamilton's going to be in second place, or he's probably going to win the race. With Verstappen, we really don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And he might creep on our podium here and there. Most likely that. But let's take out third place for a minute. Wins, I don't know what you said. I've forgotten what you said. I don't really listen to you. But with me, I've only said Verstappen to win once or twice. I think I said it for China, but that was it. I don't think I've said Verstappen to win. Because you don't
I've
know.
never said Verstappen to win. I think I've said Hamilton to win every race, probably bar one. Might have been the start of the season. I'm not too sure. I can't remember.
And we said Ferraris to win quite a lot, which
at the start of the year we did,
anyways,
and then we kind of did that. We kind of said, "Nah, forget about it. It's going to be all Mercedes now." So, embarrassing.
Yeah, but the thing is, with like we don't know when Verstappen is going to, and that's obviously what makes the predictions quite good.
Exactly.
But with Verstappen, you don't know. It's not as consistent as Lewis. But going back to Sebastian on this term, on the flip side at Red Bull, very consistent. 2010, that was obviously a building year. Sebastian had quite a few wins, but 2011, very consistent. 2012, it was a very competitive field, but again, Sebastian being quite consistent towards the second half of the year. In 2013, his more successful season, 13 wins and 7 in a row towards the end. So from Belgium to Brazil, he won all 7 in a row, which is absolutely incredible, and that's how consistent he was. That's a tale of two Sebastians. Even that was a big tangent because we weren't talking about Sebastian.
Exactly, we just completely moved on.
Max, I know, Sebastian Vettel, who the hell's that? But Max Verstappen is a Sebastian at Ferrari. I mean, take out the spins, take out the errors by himself, because obviously Max is shown to make very little errors on himself. He has made a few, don't get me wrong. You know, Monaco 2016 obviously was probably his most famous error. Obviously, he won in Spain the round before that, and then obviously he puts it in the barrier not once, but twice. Once in qualifying, he absolutely in FP3 on the Saturday, he totals the car and doesn't get out for qualifying.
Yeah.
And then obviously he puts it in the barrier again in the race. Obviously he doesn't retire on that one though, but so that was a big one. He has done a few little marginal errors before, but obviously nothing like Seb has done at Ferrari. But the way that he is like Seb is the inconsistency of the right. We're coming into Germany, for example, next week. Is he going to win? Is he going to come third? Is he going to retire? We don't know. When with Lewis, we most likely know what's going to happen. It's either going to be it could be a retirement, but it's definitely going to be a podium. Definitely. You can almost put your life on it. Almost. Don't do that.
We don't recommend that. No.
But you can almost put your life on it, and he will get a podium.
Exactly.
It's almost it's like 60% going to be a win as well. I just mean that it's very, very consistent. Same as Sebastian at Red Bull. Max is starting out like a Sebastian at Ferrari, but you never know. Max could do a Sebastian at Red Bull. Flip side. But at another team, because now it's Max at Red Bull. That was a big tangent. But yes, Lewis obviously is a lot more consistent, Jordan, as you were saying, than Max Verstappen is.
Yeah.
So the big question is for this question to be right, does that mean Max has to move to another team? Because, just quickly because we all talk about this silly season within the F1 paddock, drivers moving left and right. You know, Sebastian going back to going to Alfa Romeo with Kimi. Somebody else coming into Ferrari that's already on the grid. For example, Hamilton, Bottas, Hulkenberg, someone like that. We don't really talk about the other drivers that could come through. That possibly could happen. Like for example, Sebastian Vettel could retire from Ferrari, and then an F2 driver could come in, not someone from this grid. But obviously, we know that we all like to talk about the fact that Verstappen definitely needs to be in one of the big 3 teams, and Mercedes or Ferrari is the only option for him if he decides to leave Red Bull. So for that question to be right, for Christian Horner's statement to be right, Jordan, does Verstappen have to look at Mercedes or Mercedes or Red Bull, Mercedes or Ferrari? Because as we know where we're standing at the moment, 2 things. Hamilton, he has got years left, but obviously he's getting on a bit. Bottas, don't know where he's going. Leclerc, pretty strong, but the big one is, and the one that I'm very excited about following his future, is Sebastian Vettel. Where is he going? If Max goes to Ferrari, will this mean, obviously a closer car to answering Christian's question, does that mean that will be the only way that question can be answered if Verstappen moves to either Mercedes or Ferrari?
He will definitely be having one eye on one of them seats, like we said before, because like I don't want to give too much away about our 2020 predictions as well, because we're going to be making that video quite soon with it being the halfway point as well, and obviously we want you guys to watch that as well. But like he probably has to at this present time. He has to, because I know Ferrari aren't delivering, but I don't know how good Verstappen would be in that Ferrari. It's like pretty much like the question of this episode is like, is Verstappen really better than Hamilton? It's like you can't really say it. Like you don't know how good Verstappen would be in that Ferrari. You might do better than Vettel. You might do worse than Vettel. Who knows? You might win races in Ferrari. You might not win races in Ferrari. Who knows? But I think for me, he should maybe not be like okay, right, fully committed on the move, but maybe like thinking, okay, looking over like Maranello and Brackley and stuff, going, I wouldn't mind, having a chance in one of those seats.
I'll have a piece of that.
I want a slice. I want a slice of that. But I think that Mercedes and Ferrari would definitely probably consider opening one of the doors for Verstappen to come into the team. Because we do know that there's other drivers linked with them seats, like for example Mick Schumacher going to Ferrari one day. I know that Ocon's linked with that Mercedes seat to Bottas. We know Hamilton's not going to leave next season. I've got a funny feeling Vettel won't leave at the end of the season. At end of the season, and will be there next season. But who knows? It is Formula One. Anything could happen. For all we know, Renault could be the team to beat next season and just all of a sudden find about 5 seconds of pace and then be right up there. Then Renault's the team to be at, or McLaren's the team to be at.
And Danny Rick's premonition comes
exactly,
true.
And everyone will go, Daniel Ricciardo was right after all to go to Renault, and then Red Bull will be crying in their cornflakes if Renault start winning more races than what they do in the Honda. But nevertheless, that's for another episode. But I think definitely yes. I think Verstappen should possibly move teams if he wants to try and accomplish this. But it is Formula One. We don't know what Red Bull have in the pipeline. Red Bull could be back to their glory days. Who knows? Only time will tell. But anyways, guys, this is where we can wrap up this episode. Thank you very much for watching as well. It has been quite a long one, quite a debatable one, and we want to know your opinions about this in the comment section below. I do hope that we do see a lot more. I do see loads of opinions about this, because I do know that there is loads of Lewis Hamilton fans and there is loads of Max Verstappen fans. Especially, we've got a lot of Dutch fans as well, surprisingly. So, like I said at the start,
they're all Max fans.
Exactly.
They're not Dutch fans. They're Max fans.
Max fans.
Definitely.
So obviously let us know your opinions in the comment section below. And if you're new around here, then please like and subscribe as well. Go and check out our 2019 British Grand Prix vlog that I've got to put up a few days ago about just going through our experience about the 2019 British Grand Prix. Absolutely incredible. I mean, lifetime, absolutely once a lifetime opportunity to go to there. Very, very lucky for me and Al to be able to attend such a brilliant Grand Prix. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.
See you later, guys.